Welcome to another edition of Hustlers Kung Fu Live. Today, we're going to discuss should you become an investor or should you start a business to have money to retire? We're going to chop that up. If this is your first time here, this is Glendon Cameron, your hustling godfather, serial entrepreneur, the big brother, the uncle, the grandfather, the stepdad you never had, that's going to teach you how to start businesses, make more money, and manage your money better. One of the things that we need to do is have some honest conversations around this topic because one of the big problems is people are living in a state of denial. They're living, there are actually people out there who feel that they're going to win the lottery, that God has chosen them to win the lottery. I'm serious. They're the chosen children for winning a lottery. That God's going to bless them that way, and it's um it's kind of crazy. It's kind of insane. It's kind of nuts when you really look at it. So one of the things that I want to discuss right now, the stock market is going bananas. Stock market is going nuts. Yesterday it was a big gain. Today it crashed again. It's back and forth. We've got the coronavirus. We have all of this stuff going on. We have the oil fight between OPEC and Russia, and all of this stuff is going on. And I want to tell you, if you're like 55 to 65 years old right now, and you've got your money in the stock market right now, you're literally freaking out. You're freaking out because one of the things is that all of the common wisdom is you should be in the market. You should invest your money in the market. Everyone's saying, put your money in the market, put your money in the market, put your money in the market. I know people who have retired with no money in the market. Let me tell you a story of one of these people. I was in the military, and this guy who was in the military briefly, he got to retire out the military on the medical discharge, and he became a school teacher, and that's how I met him and his wife. They didn't have any money in the stock market. This is what they did. And be sure to check out Savage Finance. There's a good one. Savage. There's a good one there today. How to build super credit. Hold on. Let me go ahead and pop that up in there. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and be sure to check it out. But this is a video on how to develop super credit. Sure to check that out. So the school teacher, and this is where I got this information. This is why I know tried and true. There were two school teachers. They were married. And what they did, which was very wise, is they lived on his income and they saved her income. And then they took her income and started buying residential rental property. And by the time I encountered them, they had 14 houses that were paid off that was kicking them off rental income. And back then, rent on a house was like $400 or $500. So they had probably $6,000 or $7,000 a month coming in. And at that time, that was a lot of money. We're talking about almost 30 years ago. So $6,000-$7,000 a month coming in. And then they both retired from teaching. So they had their teacher pension. So they had like $10,000-$12,000 a month coming in. That was a grip back then. They were balling. Not a penny in the stock market. Not one dime in bonds, no money in the stock market. So there are ways for you to build retirement portfolios outside of the stock market. And one of my favorite ways that we're going to talk about is starting a business. All right, guys, Noel. Let's see what's going on. What's up, people? That's right, Chris Monroe. God has chosen me to win the lottery. There are people who really believe that. And every payday, they take their little coins and go buy lottery tickets like lemmings. It's crazy. Chris Monroe, the stock market's going to be like that for a minute. Well, Johnny Walton, how close are you to retirement age? Chris Monroe, we're going to talk about that. Ahmad Shabazz, 58 in June. I have a lot of money in the market, but also have my business, Shabazz Enterprises LLC, my home paid for. So I put my extra money in stocks and I'm afraid to get out. Well, Ahmad, be sure to subscribe to Savage Finance, and we're going to be talking about this because a lot of this advice, you should be in the market, you shouldn't get out of the market, and congratulations for having your home paid off. That's a big win. We're going to talk about, and Ahmad, this is really directed at you. Where'd you get all this money to put into the market? From your business. You got this money from your business. Let me tell you, my time, I'm not currently in the market. When I was in the market, my portfolio was at like 1.6, 1.7. You want to know why my portfolio was, it only took me like 3 or 4 years to build that. Because I was living on 50% of my income. I was taking literally half my income and throwing it in the market. And it wasn't a market appreciation. The reason my portfolio was so big, it was because all the money I put into it. Like, take these folks with cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, does not pay a dividend. So how do you make money with cryptocurrency? You have to become a cryptocurrency trader. Buy, flip currency. Buy crypto when it's low, flip it when it's high. Buy back in when it's low, flip it when it's high. That's how you make money with cryptocurrency. It was like, if you could get early enough, like in the morning, crypto would be like, it'd drop $1,000. And if you could get it in the morning and hold on to it into the evening and it would go up $1,000 and flip it, you made yourself $1,000. This is how a lot of people have been making money with crypto. But once again, the question is, what do you want to do in terms of your future benefits? Chris Monroe, those folks are crazy. Once again, everyone's talking about investments. Let's look at the lay of the land. 51% of Americans make less than $28,000 a year, which means they don't have a lot of money to invest. Let's look at it from this standpoint. Let's say you're the average American and you're doing okay. You have a car payment. What's the average car payment? The average car payment in the US today is 550 $550 for new vehicles, 393 for used, and 452 for leased. Overall, Americans hold more than 1.2 trillion in auto loan debt. Okay. So that's 550. What is the average credit card payment per month? On average, the Americans between the ages of 18 and 65 has 4,700 in credit card debt, according to creditcards.com. The average credit card interest rate is 15%, and the minimum payment of 189 per month. 189 per month. What is the average student loan payment? Average student loan payment. Whoa! The average student loan payment is $393. So between your car, your credit cards, and your student loan payment, you are over $1,000 a month in payments. Your car, your student loans, your credit card. God forbid you have any other debt. So this is what people are doing with their investments. So you got literally car, student loans, credit cards, over $1,000 a month in those payments, and you're putting away $100 to $200 a month consistently. What if you flip that, where you had very little payments? You had no car payment, you had no credit card payments, you had no student loan payments, and you were able to put $1,000 away a month. The game changes drastically. Drastically. Johnny, you better be careful. You buy crypto for either you buy crypto or hold on for dear life. All right, Lee Turner. Chain link is under 5. If you buy 4,000, it goes to 1,000, you're a millionaire. Hey, William Johnson. Anthony Johnson, I think that you should be learning the most skills possible. Oh, Steve Jameson, the crypto you can do is called stalking. Man, the crypto world is crazy. What do you think about refinancing my home to buy the termite company where I work at now? My equity is about 300K. How much money can you make with your termite company? That you got some research to do there. I can't really advise you on that without knowing the numbers. Killer B, as a millennial, my honest opinion is the massive student loan debt is what's going to bring this economy crashing down even further. Well, once again, student loan debt, the average student loan debt payment is $393 a month. The average car payment is 550. Those two things alone is $900. You mix in the average credit card payment of 189, you're at $1,100 per month in payments. So let's go ahead and what is the average rent in the US? Rents for 2-bedroom apartments, $1,293. Okay. What is the average take home pay? I mean, it's all in the math. The median income. This isn't the average income. The average person isn't making $52,000 a year. What is the average? See, because that's more like household income. Average person does not make $48,000. So the average take home is going to be about 22 to 2,500 per month. All right. So average car payment 550, student loans 393, that's 900 and some. Then average credit card, that's 1,100. Then you got your rent of $1,293. That's $300 right there. Your car, student loans, credit cards, and rent. We ain't even bought groceries. We ain't even bought gas. We haven't even paid any other bills. We haven't paid electric. We haven't paid, we've paid none of that. We've paid none of that. So you see why it is so hard for most people to get ahead. Well, Sporky, I mean, you've got your answer there. If you can buy this company for $300,000 and create revenue of $1 million, that's a no-brainer. You're making the case for all the homosexuals. Here's the thing. Half of America has an income problem. Half of America. Well, actually, let's go ahead and look at it. There's only 150 million people working out of a population base of 340 million. Let's see, what is no. What is the population of the USA? 327 million. Okay, so 327 million. So we have 150 million of those 327 million people working, which means we have more people in this country who are not participating in the workforce in any capacity. They're not working, they're not doing anything. They're either retired, sick, a housewife, in school, or a child. So more than half the population ain't working. I want you to really think about that. Only 150 million people make this country go. So one of the things, I mean, Sporky, I mean that's just it's all in the numbers. If you can leverage a 300,000 investment into millions of dollars a year, do it. That's a no-brainer. So, and this actually is in line with today's topic. Should you become an investor or should you become a business owner? Sporky has the opportunity to refinance his house, pull out $300,000 and buy a business that's capable of making seven figures. I want you to really think about that. Let me explain to you why I am so pro business over becoming, quote, an investor. My first business, which was GC Solutions, and let me tell you the story. I was working for this company and I was trying to get this office furniture deal. And the company just stripped said, look, you sell our used office furniture, we'll buy new office furniture from you. So I go back to my boss, the owner of the company, and he says, pass up on the deal. And I'm like, it's like, we don't do that around here. I was like, we don't do that, but I do that. So this is how I formed my first company. I went and formed my LLC and got the EIN and all this other stuff and wrote up a simple contract with this company. And I began selling their office furniture. Made $90,000 in a month. And that was such a game changer because let's just take that business did about $300,000 this first year. It actually didn't even take a year. It was literally months. That at the time was the most money I had ever made on my own. I still had a job. I was still doing deals for business environments and I still had this going on. I mean, this is why I'm so pro business because let's go ahead and say, and this is something you could do with a business. You can buy a house and pay cash for it, have your car paid for. Because I want you to think, let's just say that you were young and you started a lawn service. And the most you ever made for your lawn service was $250,000 a year, but you got your house paid off. you have no debt, and you're old and you can't run the lawnmower anymore and you got to live on Social Security. You could do that. You could do that. You have no mortgage payment, you have no car payments, you have no credit card payments, you've got money saved. You could actually, let's see, what's the average Social Security payment? What's the average Social Security bill? $1,000 per year. If your house is paid off, your car is paid off, you're on Medicare, you can make it on 1503. See, this is why so many people are have problems right now. Let me go ahead and hip you to elderly filing for bankruptcy. First thing in there, elderly bankruptcy is on the rise. Here's why. When I was growing up, old people didn't get in debt. Old people used to sit on cash. It was nothing for an old person in my neighborhood to die. Their house would be paid off, their car would be paid off, and they would have cash money in the bank. They would have what's called a burial policy. So no one had to worry about, ripping up a GoFundMe page to get them put in the ground. And they would have 20, 30,000 cash. Old people, when I was growing up, did not have debt. This week, bankruptcy in the United States has undergone a rapid growth over the past few decades. In 1991, elders made up 2% of the bankruptcy relief claims. Now the share is 12%. Big impersonal forces are one of the reasons elders are filing for bankruptcy. In the last 40 years, trade unions have weakened, real wages have stagnated, and good pensions have eroded, trends that catch up with people as they age. Companies have offloaded longevity and pension risk onto employees by eliminating pension plans or switching from defined pension plans to less certain 401k type options. Another big impersonal force is the rise in medical costs, which has coincided with the political decisions to have Medicare pay for a smaller share of elder health care. The longer people live, the higher the medical costs. It's always attempting to cite bad decisions part of the poor as a reason for victim woes. Michelson's researchers Beijing aging boomers for diverging from the Depression's era parents who, unlike their aging sons and daughters, were averse to debt. Yet it's difficult to make in this case to separate the consumer side from the industry that markets to borrowers. It's unlikely that humans has changed as much banks have changed as much as banks' business models for credit cards. So essentially, you have a bunch of old people who are out here who are not making any money. They don't have a pension. They're living on Social Security. So the average income is low and the expenses is high to basically leave you with nothing at the end of the month, pretty much. Then who are these people who qualify to have a place to stay and why? A lot of these women, a lot of them are women. Malik, is way better to start a business first. Good Lord, Daniel. Stefan, debt is one of the biggest reasons that people cannot progress. Debt is one of the biggest reasons that people cannot get out of a hole. One of the big issues is if you start a business, going back to my first business did about like about 350,000 this first year. and I had a really six-figure job. So this is why I'm so pro business, because if while you're young, you can get a high enough income where you're not in the American credit indoctrination system where you go out and buy some stuff, you'll get in debt, and you'll pay down the debt. But while you're paying off the debt, you're paying massive interest, therefore reducing your spendable income quite considerably. So, if you're of an average income, an average person, you would be better off starting a side hustle than going into debt or trying to become an investor. Because once again, I want y'all to check out what's going on at Savage Finance. Talk about how to develop super credit, and it has nothing to do. Well, watch the video. So you would be better off to start a side business than to try become an investor, because you need to get your income up. I was reading this article of this girl who saved $300,000 by the time she was 26. Hold on a second. Well, it was real interesting because they talked about that she was living cheaply. She was like, instead of staying in an expensive hotel where she would take trips, she would stay in a hostel. And they really downplayed the fact that she makes $130,000 a year. See, the reason isn't because she stayed in all these cheap hotels. That's not the reason. The reason that she was able to save $300,000 is because she had an income of $130,000. That's the reason. Because being super cheap and super frugal, she probably saved 10, maybe 20,000 a year. But having this job, $130,000, and being able to put 70,000 away per year, that right there was primarily responsible for her being able to save up $300,000. And this is one of the things you'll see over and over again. Like, there's this video of these two teenagers who supposedly have sold $20 million worth of bath bombs. Mom and dad work in the business. This is like, this is one of the reasons, like, there was this is common. There was this thing of, like, this app I use, Canva, Canva.com. It was started by a man and a woman, but the big emphasis is on this female founder, even though there was a dude involved who was a co-founder. He was just as much responsible for the business as she was, but the big press is like, well, she's a woman and she's a founder of a tech company, a billion-dollar company. It's quite rare. They're in Australia. And I'm just sitting there like, but the dude, he had a lot to do with the company too. We have such a slanted view of who does what in this country. It's unreal. Malik, pretty much. Killer B, that would be untrue. That would be untrue. There's a lot you can do. Well, there is, like, frugality. There's being practical, which I'm with, and then there's being pathologically cheap. Because here's the problem with being pathologically cheap. Once you become pathologically cheap, you could have $10 million and you're still going to be pathologically cheap. You develop the habit of being cheap. I was listening to Dave Ramsey, and this is, and they talk about this is an issue because these people have become so frugal that they could easily go out and, let's, like, there was this guy that called in. And he had a portfolio of $7 million, and they was thinking about a Tesla, but it's like, do I really need a Tesla? And this was Dave Ramsey's advice. if you took that money that this car would cost you and set it on fire in the backyard, how much would that change your life? And the guy said, not at all. Then buy it. And this is one of the things, because frugality has its place. Practicality, not buying stuff you don't need. Like I said, I only live on 8% of my income, but my income is extraordinarily high. So my 8%, this place here is this house is $50,000 a year makes per year, and this just for this house. So part of you got to enjoy life, and this is one of the things that I auction business, because every month it was like Christmas, you know. That's a good business, Malik. Cool, cool, cool. Because this is one of the reasons that I am so pro business. Because if you start a business and you dramatically raise your income in 1 to 3 years, this opens up all kinds of options, unless you're just a crackhead, or, you know, you're just stupid. Because essentially, if you start a business, you can reach retirement level in 10 years, like this girl who started Canava. She's 30 years old, and they estimate her net worth at $177 million. 30 years old, and her net worth is $177 million. She could walk away from the company, cash out, and not have to do anything else ever again in life. But being an entrepreneur, being someone that likes creating stuff, I seriously doubt she would do that. But she has that option. She could retire several times over right now if she wanted to. So this is why, many people will push back like, hey, Glenn, well, I can't start a business. Um, you can start a side hustle and dramatically increase your income. You don't tell me you can't do that. It's just, here is the big issue. Part of the draw of investing is I'm going to have money over here working for me. I don't have to do anything. And, once again, it's going to take a lot of money invested for you to get to the point where you don't have to work. You're going to need a dividend investment portfolio of $1 million worth of stock to opt out of working. $1 million of dividend stock at 5% is $50,000 a year, which you're going to have to pay capital gains tax on of 10 to 15%. So it ain't even the full 50. Let's see. Let's go ahead and so you make 50,000 minus 15%. So that's going to leave you $42,000 a year to live on. Now, here's the thing, and this is something that you'll never see people, the investment people, say. All right, so you got $1 million, it makes 50,000 a year times 20. All right, so it's going to take you 20 years to balance out, to actually earn more money. Your 21st year, you've got $1 million in dividend stock at 5%, and it's paying you $50,000 a year. It's literally going to take you 20 years for your dividend stock to become a cash cow. And this is where inheritance becomes such a key component, because let me think. All right. Coca-Cola. There was many people here in Atlanta who had Coca-Cola stock, and Coca-Cola stock pays a dividend 4 times a year. So let's say your grandpa has some Coca-Cola stock and he left it to you, and then you left it to your children. At this point, this stock is a cash cow because it has paid out way more than it cost, but it takes a long time. TH, thank you. Yeah, prepare to work extremely hard. Pretty much. Stack the flipper, a stable business with steady cash flow versus stock investing, no comparison. I'm also going to give you this. And I've crunched the numbers. I'm going to do this at Savage Finance. So I want you guys to subscribe and check out the super credit video. If you had $200,000 worth of dividend stock, let's see, how much can you rent out a 200? All right. For example, a $200,000 house using the rule of thumb would need a rent for 2,000 a month. If it doesn't want meet the 1% rule. How to figure out how much to charge for rent. It also depends on what other people in the area are renting it out. But I calculated you could buy a house for $200,000 and rent it out for $1,500 to $2,000 a month. Let's split the difference. Let's say we're renting this house out for $1,800 per month times 12. That's $21,000. A dividend stock portfolio is only going to pay you $7,000. Once again, you could buy a house, and once again, the house is paid for because for your dividend stock portfolio to be $200,000, that means there's $200,000 in the account. So the same money gets you 3x the return on a good rental property. So if you had two $200,000 houses renting out at 1,800 times 2, that's $43,000. Plus, you get a lot of tax breaks because of this, because of the depreciation curve of real estate. So this $400,000 two rental houses that are paid for pays you more money than a dividend stock portfolio paying 5%. It's all in the math, man. It's all in the math. Malik, that's the deal. This is the power of starting a business. There are so many opportunities to make money everywhere. There are, man. There are. They're all over the place. And one of the big reasons that people don't do this is everybody's trying to get paid for doing nothing. Once again, I'm gonna bring up the concept of rent seeking, and rent seeking is getting paid for not bringing value to the market. Not it's just I want to get paid for being pretty. Pretty Ricky want to get paid, man. Pretty Ricky needs to get paid, man. Pretty Ricky. So once you go ahead and get out of this, I'm going to sit down and just chill out and do nothing and have all this money coming in. Let that stuff go. Because for you to get a high level of passive income, you're going to have to work and create additional income streams and bring more value to the marketplace. So if you started a business when you were 21, 22, and by the time you're 30, you didn't really make a whole bunch of money between 21 and 28. In your 8th year, you got to an income of $250,000. and you just like 1 year you just went ahead and paid cash for your house. Next year you paid cash for your cars, and you got $250,000 coming in. Let's go ahead and do the math. Let's say after buying the house and cars, you're 31. All right. So 31 from 65 minus 31 is 34 times 250K. That's 8.5 million. 8.5 million straight up cash. So if you didn't invest and you just put your money in the bank, and at age 65, you're like, I'm going to sell the company. I'm tired of working. I'm going to do, and you had $8.5 million in the bank, 8.5 million, and you decided to live on 100,000 per year times 30. That's $3 million. You still got $5.5 million in the bank. That's no investing. That's just taking your money and putting it in the bank. Just putting your money in the bank. So everybody wants to do investing because investing sounds really, really smart. Being an investor sounds smart. It sounds sophisticated. It sounds like, hey, I know what I'm doing. But it's all in the math. You start a business and you get to a high level of cash flow and you're practical with your money, not super frugal, not super cheap, just practical. You need a new car, you go out and pay cash. You need to fix something on your house, you pay cash. Just super frugal, super practical. I know, Turf, the ideal of accumulating capital with no elbow grease is a fantasy similar to NAMNA. And this is the big thing. And this is why, it's very interesting because I already see that the personal finance channel is going to be more successful than the business channel. And I see why. Because investing is something that is put out that everyone can do, and something that everyone should do. And to some degree, I agree. But once again, people are not breaking it down, because I'm going to do a video. It's going to come up Sunday talking about where to invest your first $1,000. So be so sure to subscribe to Savage Finance. Navigation, that's funny. That's hilarious. But I feel that you would be better off by deploying a practical money management solution and starting a business before you get into investing, because you start a good business, you're going to have way more money to invest. Way more money. Who do stockbrokers call? They call doctors, attorneys, business owners. When's the last time you received a phone call from a stockbroker? I used to get them all the time before I changed my numbers. Malik, I agree, because honestly, now that I'm doing personal finance, and I really enjoy it, because I think people need this knowledge. People need someone to break it down and to pull through the weeds, because one of the things I've seen is that virtually all of these personal finance bloggers are making bank. There's this one I found last year. She did $2 million. And check this out. She started her personal finance blog in 2012. So much credit to her. She went for 7 years. Last year, she took dollars. And I see this all across the personal finance blog. And once again, if you have a personal finance channel and you don't have a blog, you're literally leaving money on the table because Graham Steffens, he makes over $100,000 a month from his YouTube channel, and he's still ridiculously cheap. This brings up the story of this dude in my neighborhood who his house caught on fire and he actually died. And when the firefighters were putting out the fire, they found $600,000 cash up in the attic, up in the roof rafters. And there was an article about this dude, and his girlfriend was like, she used to pay for dates and stuff. And this dude had $600,000 cash money that I know of. He could have had more. And this is one of the things what happens is when you become pathologically cheap. There's this story of this janitor who used to work at a service station. He was an amazing stock picker. And when he died, his stock portfolio, he died at 92. His stock portfolio was worth $8 million. And when they talk about him, they talk about he was wearing a coat that was held together by safety pins. That's ridiculous. I'm going to call it what it is. A lot of people are like, hey, that's how, there's this mythology that the only way to get rich is to be super cheap, that all rich people, like I live in a neighborhood full of rich people. These folks, they spend money. They spend money on their kids, on birthday parties and vacations. I got friends who literally take 12 and 14 trips a year. They're spending this money. They like, well, I'm going to pinch this penny until Lincoln screams. Ah! That's just one image that's portrayed and put out there. Jamar Drasher, the quickest way to get the bag is through entrepreneurship. Amen. Amen. And man, I lost 7,000 the past 2 weeks of stocks. If it weren't for my business, I'd be going crazy. Malik, this is most Americans because see, the thing is, becoming a business owner versus an investor means you're going to have to work. You're going to have to put in work. You're going to have to do work. And many people, that's a problem because everybody trying to get rich sitting on their butt. And, if you were to, now here's something else too. If like you were 18 and you were to get $200,000 and take that $200,000 and put it into a 15-year annuity, then that annuity would pay you $200,000 after those 15 years, which, if you did it at 18, you would be 37 and you'd be getting $200,000 for the rest of your life. But the trick is you need the 200,000 at 18 to put into the annuity. And this is stuff they don't talk about because, there are very few 18-year-olds with 200,000. No, I don't really. It's funny. I look at my life today and it's kind of remarkable because I used to carry $5,000 to $15,000 cash on me every day, going to storage auctions. And in pretty much the last 24 months, I have not really touched that much cash. I've been walking around with $650 cash in my wallet for about 2 years. I really don't touch that much cash money because I use my credit card for everything. So it's funny you would mention that Q497. I really don't have a lot of cash. Pedro, you've been predicting the market crash. Do you think real estate will go down? If so, do you think geographics have an effect on this? Texas real estate is not going to go down. During the last recession, there was no recession in Texas because Texas is a heavy energy production state. There will be no recession in Texas. So if you're trying to get some Texas real estate super cheap, you need to be buying it now because it's just going to get more expensive. Other parts of the country, where real estate's going to be cheap, places people don't want to live. like in the Midwest, in the middle of nowhere, these little small towns where that real estate can be super cheap. There will be opportunities to pick up some real estate. I have a friend who only buys houses he can purchase for $65,000. That's his secret sauce. He buys a house for 65,000. He pays cash for it. He puts someone in there for $1,000 rent per month, and that's been working very well for him. And he cannot buy anything in Atlanta city limits. There ain't nothing he can get around here. So all his rental properties are 2 to 3 to 4 hours outside of Atlanta. And it gets real interesting when he has to do some work on it because typically he's got to find local contractors, which can be kind of dicey. James Jamar Trash. I know someone who got a call to be a communication consultant for a state health agency. The salary would be a 30K dip from where they work now. They also, good Lord, that'd be kind of hard. Pedro, even considering the oil crash for Monday? Absolutely. See, Russia supplies the oil for Europe. OPEC supplies the oil for a lot of the world. So, yeah, even with the oil crash, Texas is still going to be bumping because people are leaving New York and California and they're moving to Texas. You know, at one point, we were getting 10,000 new residents per month in Atlanta, and like 2,000 were leaving. So we had a positive net growth rate of 8,000 new people per month. I haven't checked these stats, but let me see. How many? According to the United States Census report, nearly 90,000 people migrated to Atlanta areas between 2016. So that's about 8,000 a month. So we're still on track for that. We get 36 new residents every day. Let's see about that. 36 times 30. It's kind of chilled out a lot. But for real estate, if you want to be a real estate investor, you need to get into real estate now. Because when the market drops, because this is the thing, like me, I've been studying the Atlanta real estate market, and the Atlanta real estate market is bananas. I know a real estate investor who's just shocked at the price increase of her properties because she's got six, and she bought a property for 160 4 years ago, and that property recently appraised for a 200K. 200K. So, it's kind of nuts. Choices, choices, Jamar. Engineering Life Skills, Texas, the number one destination for California and New York. There's so many people leaving California that U-Haul has opened up superstores. They don't even have time to paint the vans before they leave. Well, what's funny? I was predicting that the economy was going to drop because I started this about 2 years ago with the recession talks, and we're right. It's happening. It's pretty much happening because what we have going on right now is going to create a recession. Italy closed. OPEC and Russia are fighting. China is reduced output. China has shut down half of its country. Perfect recipe for a global recession. It's in the cards, man. Real estate is location, location, location. Remember, during the last recession, there was no recession in Texas. So it really depends on where you are and what you're buying and knowing your market. Like there are parts of Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, where houses were like going for $5 and like literally a few streets over the houses were still selling for 500,000. Location, location, location. So it really depends where the market is because real estate doesn't collectively collapse at the same time. There is you got to know your market and you've got to be set up for your market. A recession is real and there's a whole bunch of people who are laughing it up and they're talking about the stock market and stuff, but the average American ain't doing that well. These be facts. The average American is in a situation where the average American is just in a certain situation because this is what's going on. The average American doesn't have financial literacy. The average American isn't really set up for growth. The average American is not really doing what they need to do. Romero, yeah, I didn't even see this um, COVID-19 even happening. I was just looking at economic indicators. Jamar, yeah, I know. I told y'all Harvey was going to jail, and people were like, "No, he gonna get off." No, Harvey's going to jail, and he has another trial in Los Angeles, so he's going to even get more jail time. Black Caesar, things are getting crazy here in New York. That's considering locking down the state. Killer B, this is true. The average American's living off credit card debt. Check out this new video at Savage Finance. Yeah, I mean Harvey's financially set, but he's an old man. How old is Harvey Weinstein? It's a life sentence for him. He's going to die in prison. He's going to die. Someone who should have subscribed to my Disruptive Male channel. So it's going to be very interesting. But this is one of the reasons that I feel that starting a business is just much better for investing purposes, just getting your life together and having more money. And you can start a good service business in conjunction with your job and literally double your income. But here's the thing, people just want to do the least and get the most. And it doesn't work that way. Just Jamar Trasher, just be straight up with chicks. Harvey was making promises that he did not keep. I'll put you in this movie if you do a little something strange for a little change. And they would do it and he wouldn't keep his end of the deal. And they got mad and they like, he raped me. He raped me. He was Chester the molester. Chester, stop it. Chester, stop molesting me. Stop it. And it was just crazy. Just be straight up. Get into your masculinity. Be the best masculine man you can be. Because being a dominant, disciplined man is the way to be in this environment. You don't want to be Chester the molester, man. You don't want to be Chester. It makes no sense to be Chester. James Strasser, this is true. Hey, there's a lot of people doing something a little strange for a little change, man. Lots of people. Let's see.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Whiteboard Finance.
Hold on. I've got too many windows open. Let me close some windows. We're doing a lot of research. What kind of service business do you have? Just Harvey basically took advantage of people, namely women no one wants to feel taken advantage of. Pretty much. Brad Bell, what kind of service business do you have? Also, y'all be sure to subscribe to Savage Business. You do bathroom remodeling. Put yourself out there to all these contractors buying these rental properties and remodel those bathrooms. The male Jezebel. That's hilarious. All right. So I want you guys to do this. Once you get off this live stream, go to the front of the channel and pick a playlist and start watching videos. So with that, I will see you guys later.